I'd like to speak to you today about briefing members of your city council. You may assume that members of your city council already know a lot about your pension plan. They may know something, and what they know may not be completely accurate. Why is it that you should want to explain information about your pension plan? I would suggest to you there are 3 reasons. Number 1, you should want members of your city council to know enough about your plan to be able to defend it when it might be under attack from a citizen, from someone in the media, from another member of city council. You should expect and you should hope that your city council members understand your plan well enough to explain it to someone else. Number 2, you should want to have a relationship with a city council member so that they are willing to listen to you. When you have information to convey, when you have a problem you want a city council member to understand, having a relationship with that city council member through a briefing process helps you to be in a position in the future to have a council member want to and be willing to listen to you. And thirdly, you should want to brief members of city council because you want to convey to city council that the pension plan, which represents a major financial investment for the city, is in fact in good hands with your leadership and the leadership of others on your board of trustees. So as we explore this a little more deeply, what is it that elected officials would like to know? For starters, they would like to know the basics. They would like to know enough about the plan to be able to explain it or to respond to a simple question from a citizen. What I like to refer to as that conversation with the next door neighbor over the back fence. Secondly, city council members want to know the truth. They want to know the facts. They want to know the situation as it is, not as you or someone else hopes it might be. City council members want to know the good news, but they also want to know the bad news. We all love to hear the good news. It makes us smile. But members of city council, elected officials generally, want to hear bad news from someone they trust. They want to know the facts of the problem. They want to know that hopefully someone is solving it, and they certainly want to hear it from someone like you rather than reading about it in the newspaper, hearing about it from a phone call from a reporter or an irate citizen. And lastly, city council members want to learn in a non-threatening manner. One of the reasons that we do one-on-one briefings with members of our city council is we want to make sure that council members feel very comfortable asking questions. Oftentimes, an elected official will refrain from asking a question in a public setting, in a public meeting, for fear of conveying that they don't know as much as they would like for citizens to think that they do. So a one-on-one briefing provides this kind of non-threatening learning experience. So what should you talk about in this briefing that you're going to conduct with city council members? We've prepared a very simple document, which I'll refer to now and which should appear on your screen, which is a copy of the document, a one-page document that we use to brief members of our city council in a one-on-one basis sometime after the end of our fiscal year. We prepare this document in December, try to brief council members in January or February. And in this document, we provide what I referred to before as some of those basics about our plan. Who's on the Board of Trustees? Chances are City Council members will know some or maybe all members of the Board of Trustees. We all assume, because we're close to it, that people know the difference between a defined benefit plan and a defined contribution plan. Not everyone does, and occasionally even people who think they do get them confused. So we provide in this briefing a one-sentence explanation of what is a defined benefit plan and what is a defined contribution plan. And then go on, as you see in the document in item 4, to suggest that a defined benefit plan is better for a variety of reasons. Moving on through the briefing document, we begin to talk about more facts about the plan. How many employees are in the plan? How many retirees are there? What's the normal retirement age or years of service? How is a pension benefit calculated? All, again, in the most simple kind of terms that are easily understandable. Oftentimes, people believe that the city government is the primary funding source for city pension plans. That is rarely the case, and in fact, as you can see in the document, in the City of Port St. Lucie Police Pension Plan, 53% of the funding comes from investment income, while only 28% of the funding comes from the city's required general fund contribution. In the document, we go on to explain information about the size of the financial nature of the plan. In our case, we manage $126 million of assets. We also talk about our investment rate of return, a sometimes controversial issue, but one that's important to discuss up front as to why you make the assumption that you do and what historically has been your success in meeting that assumption. The last point that I would make reference to is we provide a very simple explanation of the funded status of our plan. We happen to be about 85% funded, and we try to compare that funding relationship with a homeowner's equity in their house. Very few people own their house completely 100%. If you have a house that is 85% owned by you, you would consider that probably a pretty good financial situation. And that's the kind of comparison we make with funded status. I've talked about some of the things that we include in this briefing about our pension plan for elected officials, but I want to expand our discussion to include one other group of elected officials beyond the City Council. I want to suggest to you that you can and should also provide a similar briefing for members of your local state legislative delegation, your House of Representative members, your state Senate members. And we do that for all of the same reasons that we brief City Council members, but for one additional reason. And that's that periodically the state legislature begins a discussion about passing a state law that in some way will negatively impact defined benefit pension plans in the state of Florida. That has happened in the last couple of sessions of the state legislature and likely will be something under consideration again. So we ask that members of our state legislature, our local delegation, avoid doing something that would harm our pension plan, and we make a very specific request. We ask that before the member of the legislature votes on a pension plan issue that affects our plan, would they please contact us and allow us an opportunity to discuss it with them before they vote. Most members of the legislature would agree to that kind of request. They won't agree up front that they're going to agree with you, but I think they will almost always agree that they would be willing to listen to you. So in conclusion, in my remarks today, we've talked about why you should brief members of your city council, what those city council members would like to know. We've talked about how you could prepare a simple document to help convey that information. And I've also suggested that you can provide a similar briefing for members of the state legislature. So I would encourage each one of you, when you go back home, to begin a process of developing a similar one-page briefing document and begin to contact your elected officials to help them understand your pension plan, because in the final analysis, it's very much of a benefit to you and all of the members of your plan. Thank you.